The poachers who know about my channel and who sleuth it, for lack of a better word, are familiar with the fact that when I became love struck by Greta, I took my concerns directly to the Pope. So I'm sure that there are people who wonder, who am I addressing when I make a video about Kamila Valieva? I want to start by explaining who I'm not addressing, but who I'm sure is paying some attention to it. And these are the equity drama queens. One of the things I know about their incessant angling is that they're not in the least concerned, and they don't give a hoot about how much time or energy or involvement I have spent learning about the Black community and appreciating Black culture. They never ask an intelligible question. They're not interested. They're just angling. So it's pointless to address them. Should that change, I'd be happy to address them. It's a public video. Anybody can watch it. I'm not excluding anybody. You may notice that it's not copywritten. There's a reason for that. It doesn't have anything to do with giving it to charity or throwing it to um, the complex storyline that surrounds George Romero, for example, in his weird and mysterious relations with the British over his domestic terror film and family in Pittsburgh, where I grew up, who tortured me. It's because I want to protect innocent people who have been targeted randomly as bystanders by UW Dialectical and their mafia over control of the arts and so forth, the open mic bullyism that's at work in Seattle and Pittsburgh in the name of the underclass and so forth. Now, among the people who underwrite the system that's coming out of the blitz of the media hypocrisy, the media mecha puppet show of the US government and its allies, and I understand to some extent the partnership with Russia, is the idea that, you know, they know that I don't like hurting innocent people. They know that's fundamental with me. That's why I'm in line with Pope Francis, for example, because it seems to me an absence of virtue. And for some reason, the King family has sided with the dialectical people who have killed innocent bystanders because of how confused they are. Dexter King is confused about intellectual property and this new equity scythe thing that's happening. The people primarily who are on my mind in making of this video, I don't want to slight Kamila in any way. She's by no means in the clear as somebody who's potentially an opponent of mine. She wouldn't necessarily be an opponent of mine if her idea was just to give the whole Olympiad a kick in the backside about what's going on. I see her at the present moment as a home girl. My bias in the matter is clear. I wanted to see her skate, but I recognize due process. If it was shown that due process would fairly exclude her, I would have accepted it despite wanting to see her skate. I was gratified as a fan of hers that the IOC made the right decision in terms of due process. If anyone is fooled by the situation, maybe all of these questions will arrive at the truth. That's the prescriptive nature of due process. You've all seen it in Perry Mason, and I don't like the star of Perry Mason one bit, but you've all seen it where in the middle of the court room, while they're after the truth, they all were going the wrong place, but they find it anyway because of the questions that they ask. Okay, enough about my bias. The people I'm addressing this to are the very fine government and activists in the country of Bangladesh. They, I am sure, are as concerned as me about what is really happening. I want to start by discussing the aristocracy of talent. It goes without saying that Valieva is in the aristocracy of talent. I mean, I'm not arguing with the man who painted her as an angel. But the aristocracy of talent can also get, for various reasons, some of them good, put down as presumptive. And there's confusion in the Mecha Puppet Show. Some of those people deserve the benefit of the doubt, but they're being taken in by Oliver Stone's take on reality. The whole thing pertains to the French Revolution. And people who shot Kennedy did so in the name of Marie Antoinette. And with their ideas of royalty as the aristocracy of talent. That's bygone history. It's interesting. I don't mind going to school to learn about it one bit. I love doing it. I was glad to learn interpreting. But it's important to understand that the aristocracy of talent is an idea that if you don't know what it really means, can be misused. So some of the people who used it effectively were W.E.B. Du Bois, John Fitzgerald Kennedy, and Martin Luther King. Now, you begin to see why there's some dialogue opening there because Du Bois conceived of the talented tenth. He believed in the aristocracy of talent as being exclusive. King and, God bless him, Kennedy, I believe, did not. They saw it as inborn virtue, the ability to sustain and spread a desire to recognize truth, to recognize the good, to choose not to be amoral was the foundation. This was Confucian too, of the aristocracy of talent. People who have abused us. The Olympian structure behind the COVID attack, for example, Zork, the equity site, are people who misuse the idea of the talented tenth. And I'll explain to you what their precept is. Lou Carl used to say, saying there are no absolutes is an absolute. And you could, I mean, I used to argue that you could say there's two absolute this and that there are no others, which would make it a yin and yang symbol, right? But aside from these pyrogenics of elementary idea, the reason he was a dogmatist was because he believed that innocence was chastity. And I'm surprised that the media Mecha Puppet Show isn't prying into Camilla's life. Was she chaste? You know, what business is it of hers? Of anybody's. I mean, but her family and her boyfriend and so forth. I mean, it's not my business. But it decodes down to their idea that the chaste will be fed. You see, that's where the aristocracy of talent comes up against the friction of people who introduce a food fight. Who gets to eat? Because you can't eat global warming. And the intelligence level of people who are addressing the problem gets reduced to animosity about things like pornography, which at its best is just homegirls being exhibitionists. The amoral are not chaste, they're undeserving, so they don't get to eat. And this is a way of eliminating people who've been barbarously used when you do actually look at human trafficking, which is terrifying. And you can study that. I mean, there's books. The World of Susie Wong has been criticized. There was a presidential panel on pornography. Porn actresses have stood up for the National Organization of Women. I mean, there's all sorts of issues. It's an interesting field. I don't hate it, but I found the genocide pornography, and that's really getting to me. So when I address the people in Bangladesh, I hope you hear me, Camilla. I'm trying to not worry too much about the idea that you're in opposition to me fundamentally. Where that opposition would come from is very important to understand because it's not out of the question that Valieva is a product of the configurations of the Kennedy killing carousel club of Cirque du Imbecile. And then what they're saying is don't fuck with Ringo, given Putin's proclivities and Trumpy tune and so forth, and all of the other problems I've had with that crowd. Snickering and laughing about the way Leslie Katz pulled off what she did. Oh, they're terrified of Jimmy Carrey. Right. Everybody was watching me to make sure that that I had no opportunity to inadvertently blow her cover of what she, Schulman, and the Foreign English were doing together. That's what, if they feared me in any way, it's that I would have gotten the attention of somebody who was from the government of Bangladesh who asked what's going on with this fellow, because I certainly didn't know. I think the question about Camellia focuses right now in terms of where it's gone on due process with the IOC is, does somebody actually believe she took it deliberately? She's just a kid trying to make sense of a terrifying situation. It's mysterious. So when you look at the um, background of what they're doing to me, you see they perniciously created this full story about the lecherous clerk, to cover the fact that they ran a Two Virgins Pussy board game from Zork, from the Olympiad behind COVID, the chaste realm of the super class. So they have this idiot story going around, which amounts to them selling the idea that they have the right to eliminate people, right? Tush in your nose, you know? Well, I'm not sure there's really anything else I wanted to say. You see, that shows you the parameters of the problem. If I'll give it a moment of thought. Oh, okay. There is something else I wanted to say. In my Twitter today and in my Facebook today, I exhibited the script where they talk about nearly killing me to make me decide to swallow something. Okay, and the fascists at the Pittsburgh Steelers, no joke. You know, the the people who got me dressed in this the way they got Greta dressed in her situation. The fascists. And believe me, I'm completely with Vanessa Nakate. I think she's great. I don't care if my worst enemies are promoting her. They're doing me a favor by promoting her because I think what she's saying is outstanding. I think she needs to review the past so that she understands who these terrifying warmongers are who set this all up. Because I don't think that we should just deny that they set it up. Well, one of the ways they set this up was by enculturating language remarks in me from the way that I coped with being held hostile and not knowing what to do. The enculturated remarks were being siphoned through the Media Mecca puppet show by no less than the natural language system of the pornography genocidalists with index names like Carbon Hell and concerts like Flame Over Africa back in the 70s, when Trumpy Tune was getting cameoed in films like Network. So I mean, there's a military arrangement, in all of this sad lack of judgment in the Commonwealth and municipal level. On the Commonwealth and municipal level, anyone can see nearly killed him, swallow, and look at the terror in my neuroplastically destroyed golem psyche and arrive at an honest understanding that I was tortured. And they don't. They don't. No. No. Why? Because of that one red cent signifier, that go, everything gets siphoned. So they set up a dialectical food fight and then factored in, you know, mass elimination, which is ugly news. It's really ugly news. I don't like them for it. But all of us need to recognize and the role that we've been asked to play and by who, so that it doesn't ignite into World War III. I mean, God help me if my attempts to protect Shannon Harps from being knifed should erupt in World War III. I mean, but it's ridiculous. I'm asking you to choose who you think is of sound mind. Martin Luther King, who believed that the aristocracy of talent was the ability to inspire the inborn virtues, to recognize truth and exercise good judgment. Or people who think that they should be allowed for race reasons to celebrate preying on somebody for sex over racial disparity things, whatever those monsters from Dialectical UW all think when they go out and wreak havoc and rape girls who have Down syndrome and epilepsy in the names of settling scores. I mean, they announced the virginity proofs rape. I mean, they're getting away with it and they think that's funny. I mean, I don't. I think it's absurd. Chastity is something that people have the right to cultivate and protect if that's where they're coming from. But it's not an absolute. I mean, I'm sorry, I don't want to talk about it anymore. It's too ridiculous. I can't credit it. It's too ridiculous. For people who are inexperienced who want to know about sex education, it's a force of creation. And that force of creation doesn't come from the hymen, it comes from the womb. So, I mean, I'm not going to talk about it anymore. I'm too tired of dealing with the stupid and the ridiculous. I wish all of you the very best. All of you. Take care of yourselves.